Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Crypto Coin Daily. And today I wanted to explain a little bit about some of the terms that people who, have been worked in traditional financial uh, markets, such as, the stock market and stuff. I wanted to talk about a couple of the terms that we often hear, as investors. And two of these terms, and the biggest ones that come to my mind at this point are a bull market, and a bear market. So, if you've heard of investment, you may have heard of these terms of there being such thing as a bull market, and then there being such thing as a bear market. Now, the what what these words are trying to explain, or what they're trying to say about um, what these words mean in terms of the market is that, so if we just simply, let's draw. Okay, so this is so on this axis we have dollar bills, um and on this one we have number of shares. Using a mouse, it's kind of difficult. Okay, so really this is just, basic economic graph, which is that, the supply line. So the number of shares. So this axis does not describe supply. This axis describes the number of shares that exist within the supply. And this other line, this is demand, and this is supply. So what we can glean from, this is called microeconomics. So what we can understand from these terms is that, and this is being zero. So if if the price, the number of dollars, right, the price of, you know, it correlates with the number of shares. So in a market, right, the amount of what the shares cost is dependent upon how many shares exist within the market. So that's why we have number of shares, and then dollars, currency. So like $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, etc., and all the way until technically infinity. This one also goes to infinity. But so, well, actually, let me rephrase that. So this number has the potential to go to infinity. This number also has the potential to go to infinity. But based on the economics that we run on today, it cannot do that, because our economy is run by these dollar bills, right? These dollar bills, these $1 bills, right? And there is a fixed number of these $1 bills within the world. And we know this because these $1 bills and these coins, these physical coins, they 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 there is a set number of them that exist, because in order to exist they have to be, printed, they have to be you know created by banks. They have to be, the bank has to subsequently put, so liquidity, the bank needs to put the liquidity, or the dollars that they have in today, or just value, they have to put their dollars into the process of making more dollars. So because the process of creating more dollars requires more value or liquidity than the actual asset itself has, than the dollar bill has itself. They're using these dollar bills to pay for creating more dollar bills, and they realize that there's a fixed number of, resources in the world, and using paper for currency is not, isn't a sustainable way to do it now that we have the infrastructure to do things on the computer. So, so back to this graph, right? So this is the supply curve and this is the demand curve. And what this is just simply saying is that as the supply in a market increases, the demand tends to decrease. So if the supply is very high, right? Or in other words, not the supply, if the number of shares is very high, the demand, the demand, the amount of, demand of that share, right? At this number, so this number of shares. So let's just, you know what? I'm just gonna restart here. So I opened up this new app. Hopefully, I can just, yeah, just do this. There we go. Okay, so I'll redraw it. So marker. Okay. Nope. Go back. Undo. There it is. Okay. So sorry, my desk is very small, so I don't have a lot of space to. Okay, I need a mouse pad as well. So remember, so this scale, this is 0. This is $1, $2, etc. And technically, based on so because Einstein predicted that things, the speed of light would be achieved, not that we would as physical and bodies, like not necessarily saying that, me and you could get in a spaceship and, move through space at the speed of light, because we can't do that. Our physical, our bodies cannot sustain, we cannot handle that amount of force. We can't handle the well, we could technically if we were in space and we did it for a long time, but like, so right now, if you threw me or you into a spaceship that could travel at the speed of light, you would not survive because your body is not physically capable of that amount of g-force. So because he predicted that things would move eventually at the speed of light, not necessarily human beings, but technology technology would move at the speed of light, it would eventually, as we discussed in a different video, supersede the speed at which human beings will reproduce, which I mentioned earlier. So the point here is that, so if technology has been, moving at the speed of light, and the reason to say, technology moves at the speed of light is not, a crazy thing to say anymore, is because I simply, all I have to do is click and I have my information. So the information that was displayed on the screen, right? I clicked. And now I have this information in front of me at the speed of light. Or in other words, as fast as light can travel, because it is so fast that my eyes can only, perceive so much information at once. So because we know that technology is moving at the speed of light just by looking at those words and analyzing it, in our day-to-day lives, we are now beginning to see that not only technology, But now currency or value or liquidity is also has the capacity to move at the speed of light. So because value has the capacity to move at the speed of light now, corporations will begin to look for alternatives for the old-fashioned value to a new type of value that will subsequently allow them to make transactions, pay bills, deposit into bank accounts, to give to people who are taking out loans. No longer in this area, but now at the speed of light, which E equals mc squared. So what this just means is that the energy or entropy, if you want to look at that way, or energy, either one, is equal to an object's mass. Or okay, so the let me restart here. So E equals mc squared is a way to look how an object's energy can be valued based off its relation to its mass and to a constant, which is known as the speed of light. So mass times the speed of light, and we'll just put, I'll just put, from now on to say speed of light, we're just saying, so C equals speed of light. So an entity's energy, or the thing that makes it what it is in the universe, right? We human beings are energy. Like, we have energy inside of us. Our cars have energy. Our houses, use energy. Our cars use energy. We eat because we need more energy to survive, right? So energy has a direct relationship, so a constant relationship with the constant, otherwise known as the speed of light, which is equal to 300 million meters per second. Yeah, 300 million meters per second. Okay, so and I'm gonna get back to this part, but I think it's important to help us understand what we mean when we say the speed of light, right? So we know that the speed of light is a fixed number, and that light will not travel faster than it can travel. We know this. Einstein had told us this, or just scientists know this, right? Let's make sure that, okay, so I hope that you guys have heard what I'm saying, but anyways. So what this means is that energy is directly proportional to the mass of an object, right? Because this number, this constant, will never change. So the more mass something has, right, the more energy it has. And so when we say the speed of light, we're talking about this constant, this thing that will never change, which is that light travels at 300 million meters per second. 300 million meters per second. So this is just physical analysis of what speed of light means. So when you see these corporations saying we are moving things at the speed of light, or we're doing things at the speed of light, what they're saying is they're doing something based off of this constant that light travels 300 million meters per second, right? And they're adjusting what they're doing based off of that constant. So what we are now beginning to see is that value, our value, the number of value is equal to the number of dollar bills, you know, that we have. So value is equal to liquidity, or the number of dollar bills that we have in this market and today. We're starting to see that our value is directly proportional to the so this is not so yeah, liquidity. So our value of our dollar bill is directly proportional to the liquidity of that dollar bill, or in other words, the ability to settle a payment as fast as possible. That's what liquidity is. We've talked about this in another video. So the value of our dollar bill, right? The number of dollar bills that our value is worth today is directly proportional to the liquidity of the dollar bill, is directly proportional to the capacity for that dollar to be transferred into another asset, or in other words, to be able to be spent or given to somebody or invested, or loaned to somebody, right? So our value is directly proportional to our liquidity times the speed of light squared. And the reason we can make this, we can make this conversion is because we're simply applying, uh, you know, the one of the most basic physical theories, right? And we're using the fact that this theory also uses the speed of light, which is that the amount of energy, right, is proportional to the amount, it increases or decreases depending upon the amount of mass an object has, times the speed of light. And so now that we can now move our dollar bills, our value, at the speed of light, it follows that value, our value is also directly proportional to the liquidity, multiplied by the constant, otherwise known as 300 million milliseconds, or the speed of light. So if you need to look at this and digest it, I mean, this is, physics. This is physics theory. So this is not necessarily something that everybody would know about or be interested in. And you don't need to, learn. I'm not saying you need to learn physical theory. I'm just simply saying that using physical theory, using the theory of physics, we can apply that physical theory to what we know about the financial theory, or in other words, uh, business theory. And they've been doing this for years. It's not that people don't know what I'm talking. I mean, if someone in a business institution or like a school saw this, they would understand. They would understand what this means. So, and the reason I'm telling you this, so the reason I am telling you this is because no. So the reason I'm telling you this is because no, this is the website I'm looking for. Is because XRP is a digital asset, a store of value that can settle transactions in 3 to 5 seconds. So, so the implication here is that we're talking about something that will transfer its value in 3 to 5 seconds. So, if value is directly related to the ability for something to be liquid or be traded for something else, right? Then this fact that this value or this amount of dollar, bills, uh this fact that this value is going to be able to transferred in 3 to 5 seconds, right, is indicating that our 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 markets and our business will soon be traveling at this speed. And the reason we can make this assumption is because, like we discussed at the beginning of this video, information travels at the speed of light. Our ability at this point, right, to understand information on a computer page, right, is equal to, or not equal to, but it is intrinsically tied to the speed at which light travels. In other words, the speed that, this screen that you're watching will reach your eyes and then into your brain, right? So because information has the capacity to move at the speed of light, and now we are able to make transactions in almost the speed of light, right? Well, it is the speed. Let me rephrase that. We are able to make transactions using the theory that information is traveling at the speed of light. You know, you can do the mathematical analysis for yourself, and I just did it for you here. But our value, this is why we're saying that XRP is more valuable to have than any other asset that you currently hold. And I'm not saying that you should, source your assets for liquidity. I'm just simply saying that if you have liquid money at this moment, to put it into, this this source of value that, as we discussed, is intrinsically tied this source of value is intrinsically tied, right, to this equation. So our value is equal to the the liquidity, the dollar the dollar bills, right? It is equal to the value, the liquidity, the number of dollar bills it's worth, multiplied multiplied by the constant speed of light, otherwise known as 300 million meters per second. So what if we look at it, from, so value is equal to liquidity, and so liquidity, and if you were going to say it would be, dollars. And so value is simply, another name for any asset that you own, right? So, but because we're talking about cryptocurrency, because we're talking about an asset that is traveling at the speed of light, right? Our value, our value is equal to the liquidity, the dollar bills, multiplied by the speed of light, 300 million meters per second. Okay? So I'm gonna do the math, and we can look at it together. Watch this. So let's just say, if I have 25, if I have $25, right? 25. Uh, this is quite frustrating. I don't know how to. Okay, so I'll just I will just make a new page. Well, yeah. How do I? Well, I don't want to delete that graph because I do want to get to that and show you the implications in terms of the market. But that's not as important as this, this scientific theory, because this is how people who believe, people who believe in what's this currency, this is why they believe in it. Okay, so if our value is equal to our liquidity times the speed of light, which this is an assumption that we're making. We're drawing from theory of, the 1910s and 20s to predict, the theory of to predict financial theory, which which experts do all the time, right? So if our value, our our assets is another way to put it. So our value, so what we own, so gold, our house, our car, our businesses, but also our dollar bills, right? Our liquid dollar bills. So if our value is equal to the liquidity or other, or so subsequently, our value, our assets are actually worth, excuse me, the dollar bill, the $1 bill, or just simply, how liquid yes. So because liquidity in the market we live in today, liquidity is simply defined as a dollar bill, or, a paper bond, something that you can use to buy and sell, right? So that's why I have this picture drawn. It's not the only thing we can buy and sell with. We have barter systems, but it's what our economy uses currently. So because our value is equal to our liquidity, right? Or because energy, so the capacity for something to, do something in the universe, energy, is equal to the mass of that object times the speed of light. And because we know information is traveling at the speed of light, and we know that money is going to begin to travel at the speed of light because it travels as fast as information can go, right? Which is, as we talked about, just how fast something pops up on the screen, right? So this is why we are able to make this jump. This is why, because we are able to make these assumptions based off of the fact that information travels at the speed of light, right? So subsequently, our value is going to be equal to the liquidity, the ability to trade it within a market, right, times the speed of light squared. I don't know necessarily, if I can say that it will be squared. I'm just simply showing you that, this if you use basic physical theory and you transfer it here, you can, right? And I don't know, like, it may just be V equals LC. V equals L times C, regardless, the speed of light, or C squared, it doesn't matter. We're still talking about 300 million meters per second, right? So let's just do the math. I'm going to step out the math right here so you can see. So let's just use XRP as an example. So XRP, right? is equal to, so let's say you have, okay, XRP is equal to XRP over our dollar, right? The amount, the worth of our XRP is equal to the amount of the XRP we have divided by the number of dollars that we have that are that it matches. Or so what the XRP is worth today, right? What we call XRP is equal to um the asset XRP itself, or the cryptocurrency, divided by the number of dollar bills, or not the number of dollar bills, but the yeah, that's it. XRP is equal to the XRP currency, on Coinbase that you can buy, divided by the number of divided by dollar bills that you have, you put, that you've invested, right? Or in other words, it's equal to the the value of a dollar bill at that point in time, right? So XRP divided by dollar bills is equal to dollar bills times the speed of light. I don't have enough space. Okay, so if you know math, this cancels out. Or actually, rather, this doesn't cancel out. It is multiplied through the equation, right? So XRP will be equal to dollar bills squared times uh, the 300 million meters per second, which is just simply a constant. It's unchanging. It doesn't matter what the units are. That is multiplied through, right? So what will happen eventually is that this dollar bill will get multiplied through, and we'll have dollar bills squared times 300 million meters per second squared times the value of a dollar bill. I mean, times dollar bills. So in math, we know we can factor that out. So it just ends up being, you know, so our XRP is now equal to parentheses. Okay. So now that we have come to this equation, right? We've come to this, understanding of how money will be transferred but based on physics, based on physical theory. So now we can actually talk about, a dollar bill and see what happens. Okay, so let's again, let's screw it. I'll just don't save and I'll open a new one. Sorry, someone is screaming. I can hear them yelling really loud. I don't know what they're screaming about. Okay, so new. Okay, so and we're gonna do the math now. So now we're gonna watch it, with numbers, so we can actually grasp. So I've made it clear now. I mean, I hope I don't have to go back and explain this again, and I will if people don't understand. But I think if you've heard of physics and stuff, and if you've been to college, then you could you know kind of see what I'm talking about at least. So This is too thick. Hold on. So our XRP, right, over our dollar bills, how much, we have in XRP right now, is equal to dollar bills liquidity times the speed of light, right? But so what we are going to see happen very soon in the near future, and I mean, I personally, we're going to see this within the next year, is that they're going to multiply this number through such that XRP will now be equal to dollar bills times the speed of light, parentheses, dollar bills. Because we have now multiplied this dollar bill, this divided by dollar bills, through to the other side of the equation. So let's just do a number now, okay? So okay, so even, I mean, I'm talking, let's do $50, okay? It doesn't matter what dollar you're using, but let's do $50. So